podcast for you. You'll get golf tips and news off the Tudor review. Come and join us, have some fun.
Right, get rid of it. We don't need that in the
What are you doing? Oi, I'm working.
The fuck you do?
Get to work.
Don't say fuck on the podcast.
Hi, God. Young people these days.
So we're back. Paul and Pat's podcast is fine. I don't even know how to say it. What do we do? I know we do cheers.
Cheers.
That's it. And we do a podcast, allegedly a weekly golf podcast, which we haven't done for 3 months now, Pat. You know, and you've been growing a beard, I see, in the meantime.
I'm a bit scared here. You know, sometimes I shave again and my hair's been growing. And
So why haven't we been podcasting for 3 months? What excuse have we got for everybody that
we could say we've been too busy,
we could? Yeah.
but basically we just couldn't be bothered.
Right, no, that's honest. We can't be bothered, and thank you for everybody who's asked us. You know, there's been several people from the PGA of Germany, everybody who's asked us where the podcast is, and we've always said, you know, well, we're busy and it's coming and so forth. And yeah, we can be bothered. So here's the next one, and it's going to be really good this time because
we don't know what we're going to be doing.
No, we do. We're going to talk about the release, you know, something that people are always talking about in golf, release. So we're going to be releasing a little bit for you. And
we're going to have a great drill for you, by the way.
A great drill, yeah.
It's really a lot of fun.
So shall we just stop talking and get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Okay, so something we're going to talk about today, which is really important, I think, and we're going to talk about the release, Pat. And I think before we even start, a lot of people don't really understand what release actually is. You know, the actual release of the club head.
Well, there's many factors actually coming towards the release, isn't there?
Well, exactly. So
it's not only. A lot of people somehow think that they need to release the club like this,
right?
Or something like that. But that's obviously not the case. Right.
So the club, let's get one thing. Our first point today is the club actually doesn't roll, the hands don't roll over, you know, this rolling over thing. Do you want to demonstrate that again maybe? Because it looked really good when you did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Like this?
So,
keep head down and release?
Yeah, that's not what we want to see. That's not release, right? And equally, you know, on the way through, I think, you know, if you do one towards the camera actually, a release, you know, proper one this time. Actually, I think it's interesting to say what we, you know, if we don't want that, what we do want is the club head releasing actually a little bit this way, so you can see the face actually isn't closing over that much at all. It's about as shut in the backswing, but as you'd want it open in the downswing, right?
I mean, what happens is that the club re-hinges that way.
Yeah, absolutely. But keeps the cup in the left wrist,
but it does not go that way.
Right. And I see a lot of people trying to do that, and because of that, the club's actually slowing down because you're not rehinging it, right?
And the whole kinetic chain kind of gets lost by that, and you lose a lot of distance doing that.
So I think it'd be good to just go through kinetic chain just one more time. So if you can do your backswing, and we'll do a bit of a downswing. So as we've always said to you before, the first part of the kinetic chain, Pat's going to start with his hips. So you see that's part one. Then the rotation of the body comes. The rotation of the body actually slows the hips down, right? Doesn't stop them completely, just slows them down. Then come the arms, and this is the interesting thing. What makes the club head release now? And if you look at this position, actually, this is really interesting because this is the bit where certain people in the golf world are talking about richtige Schlagen, which is not something you're allowed to say on this golf course, because obviously it's a part of the kinetic chain, right? And if you can see what's happened here, that through the firing of the hips and the shoulders, we've got to this richtige Schlagen, or whatever the hell that's supposed to be, right? So what's actually going to release now, the thing that actually makes it work, is the load in the shaft. The shaft has been loaded now with the movement of the hips and the shoulders, and the shaft, actually the head, releases, and that's the point that we want to get at, and that's the point I feel is lost at with richtige Schlagen, that people aren't actually loading the shaft up and having the shaft release on the way through.
Right? I mean, those people are telling us that you need to, doesn't matter what happens here, you need to hold this.
Well, to be fair, they don't say hold, but I mean, they're sort of discounting the role of the body, right?
But that doesn't really work, because it doesn't matter which sport we do, where we come into what we probably going to demonstrate in a minute. I never go, if I throw a ball, I don't go like that, I go like this, right?
Yeah, and you use your body, and that's how that effect starts. All right?
So, are these Sven's new clubs?
They are actually. This is Sven's bag. He just ordered some new clubs from our wonderful sponsors Titleist, and he's got a new driver and everything. So we're for this drill we're going to use Sven's clubs, which I feel is probably. I mean, before we use ours, right? I mean, we might as well throw the Atsubi's clubs, right?
Exactly. And as they're brand new,
right?
and they're really good
chuck
too.
them around, yeah.
I think we can just go.
Yeah, because what we're going to do is we're going to start throwing clubs today, and you know, throwing clubs is a really underestimated thing. I think club throwing
really good drill.
right? You know, and people say, oh yeah, club throwing. You know, I mean, first of all, obviously the moral thing behind club throwing is probably not all that great. And people say, oh yeah, you know, it doesn't really tell you where the release is. Well, I think it actually does. You know, I mean, so we're going to throw some clubs and we're going to describe the flight of the club to you, and maybe give you something to work on when the next time you shank one into the water. You know, Ben Jacob.
Are we going to have a little competition?
We can, yeah, a throwing competition. So let's get Sven's clubs thrown. I think the first thing you see with club throwing is the throw having topped it into the water or something. So, and this is a throw like this. You know, so you throw it into the water, you top it into the water, and then you, out of rage, you just sort of throw your club like that. So there we go. That's not bad actually. So almost got it onto the lady's teeth. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I won them yesterday as well by one shot actually.
So yeah, let's.
I just had to mention that.
And then you've got the slippy grip throw, you know, which sort of, you know, you can't get quite as much power into it as you could with one hand, but the slippy grip throw is that, you know, you've hit a bad one really, that's what it's all about, and you just sort of let go, you know, and just let it go like that, you know, which is interesting because you get a very low flight on your club, and what we're going to do now is we're actually, instead of ball flight analysis, we're going to do club flight analysis. So
overhead throw as well.
So jockey cameraman, get over here.
You could do the overhead throw.
So let's just do the drill, because we give this to people now and then, not that often. But
the one you did at golf lounge was good. The one on the road.
That was good. Yeah, Maria, if you're watching, we're going to do your throw shortly. So let's just describe to you what should happen. If you're going to practice your release by throwing your clubs, you want to have this sort of release. So Pat's going to go ahead and, you know, hold it with two hands. Pat, do the proper thing. And we want to have a fairly low flying, straight release. It's got to be sort of a little bit away from the ground and fly quite low.
How did you throw this?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Two hands? Never done it.
Yeah, go ahead, you'll be fine. Yeah, we'll see if you're actually any good at it or not. Okay, so I don't know what Pat's doing now, but anyway, he's having a good time. So one of the problems we often
you do
see,
one now. We
one
need
of
to see which one got further.
Oh. So let me do this.
Oh my God!
Yeah, well, mine's further.
I don't know.
You said which goes further. Mine was further. Anyway, so
missed the fairway though.
one of the problems now, the difference there is that I actually held on to mine a little long, because I do have sort of this move in my swing and hold on to it a long time. So I tend to release the club when I throw it way over to the left. Now, once a student of mine, Maria, who we're not going to mention, actually threw one onto the road at the golf lounge by sort of throwing it sort of almost over her head, which was amazing. But I think that's really interesting to see that when you throw your club and you hold on to it too long and sort of release here, and you sort of throw it at that point, obviously the club can go over there. We'll maybe wait for these ladies actually to...
They're picking up our clubs.
Is that let's not put that in the podcast. Yeah, anyway. So these ladies who... Maybe they might steal your clubs. Sven, do you want to go and get your clubs off those ladies? She might steal them. What the fuck? You just like that? Yeah, go on.
Give your driver. Yeah, I want to throw your driver.
Quick. Get going. Yeah. Thank you. So right before go and get your clubs. What the fuck? We can't even swear on the podcast. What's going on?
I don't know where he gets it from either.
No, neither do I.
Must have it from you.
I've lost my thing completely. Let's have a little Werbeunterbrechung whilst these ladies, who Pat knows very well, are teeing off, and we'll come back after this break.
Poster.
So we're back after the airborne to Bretton, and the ladies have removed themselves from the throwing range now. And you know, as we're trying to say, we've got two subjects that we're dealing with here. We've got number one, the plane of the swing and where you release it and where it goes, and number two, the kinetic change. So I think really you've got to be able to throw a club as far as you can. Why? Because
you need a good kinetic change to hit the ball a long way.
and in our experience, people who hit the ball far can throw clubs really far. I remember teaching a French guy, and he was playing the French amateur, and he actually lost the semi-final, I think it was, to Michael Tannhauser, who's from Hamburg, and he threw the club further than he'd actually hit the ball. It was amazing. It was like miles, yeah. And I was thinking at the time, that's interesting. You know, he hits it far and throws it far. And the other thing is, of course, you know, where does it go? Because you see, like I said, like me, I have that problem that I sort of slide a little bit coming forwards, hold the angle a little bit too long, and because of that I actually end up throwing the club a lot over to the left. So a great drill
as
for
we
me.
saw.
Yeah. Well, that's where the balls go too. What happens for me is a great drill for me is to actually try and throw the club more over here. And what happens, which is I think is really interesting, is that I actually stabilise my body much more rather than doing this, and release the club much more effectively, simply because I know I've got to do this, which is more sort of like, over there, right? So I stabilise my body much more, which is a really interesting drill, because that's what's supposed to happen. Low and, well, it was a bit exaggerated, but low and straight.
See, I'd rather take Sven's driver.
Oh, come on, Sven's driver's brand new. You can't throw his driver.
I'll take the head cover off, it won't get dirty.
Yeah, but seriously. This is not good. You know, if Sven finds out that you're throwing his driver.
But it must fly miles the driver, right?
I would think, does the driver fly further? Yeah. You've got a bit of loft on that. So is it the case that short...
Sorry, Sven.
Throw a short club and see if there's a difference there, because it'd be interesting to see if different length clubs fly different distances. Yeah, I think the irons actually fly further. Have a go with a putter. Look, here's Sven's putter. Have a go with that. So actually, they all fly the same distance. So, okay, so we've
no connection with
Mythbusters. It's busted. Longer clubs do not fly further.
Sven.
Sven's club, we've got one left. We're all right. Sven's club's got one left. So let's talk about this plane thing a bit more. I think that's quite interesting. So you take your setup, and I'm going to put the plane lines in here. So when you throw a club, what you really want to have happen is that you want to be releasing down this angle here. So basically what's going to happen is, Patrick's going to come into this area here, and he's going to release right here, which is obviously what should be happening, and the club should actually fly on plane through the air. So you're going to actually be releasing the club that way. So you might want to just have a step to the left so you don't hit that one. So let's just analyse Pat's release plane. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So you see that released actually all the way on plane. So, now obviously there are some moral issues with throwing your clubs around and so forth. So obviously our recommendation there, number one, is use the clubs of somebody else. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's good for two reasons. Firstly, kinetic chain, as Pat talked about. You want to have that kinetic chain working, and it's a really good test.
And watch, there's no ladies on the TT enough.
Exactly. Yeah, especially Lufthansa stewardesses. Secondly, thirdly, getting it released on plane is a really good drill. I think most golfers will generally find out it's the over the left shoulder to begin with. So you want to go somewhere like here, where where there's a lot of room, and throw your clubs around first. And like I said, we think it's a really interesting drill to do to find out what happens in your release area.
And it is really enjoyable as long as they're not your own clubs.
Exactly. Right, so we've podcasted. I don't want to look at my watch to find out what time we've podcasted. We haven't podcasted for 3 months. So that's our first podcast for ages. I don't know what number it is because we haven't done one for so long, but who cares? We're not counting anymore anyway. So the next one is going to be done sometime in the next 3 months, right?
I guess so.
So see you
soon.
Soon.
Sometime.
Yeah, soon.
Cheers.
Right.